What's going on, everybody? This is Mother Loving YK in the building here today. I got a special show here today for some of you couples that are watching out there looking for answers to fix your problems. Okay, we got a show here for you guys today, and a lot of people have expressed that, hey, well, maybe I'm exposing too much information about my relationship and so forth. So why not have my other partner here? Yes, I'm gonna go ahead and get to introducing her, but I want to first off express that I'm trying to stop cussing. Okay, my mom done got on my tail one too many daggone times for my own liking. Okay, I'm thinking I'm grown. Okay, I can express how I am, but my mama is watching. Okay, she's watching hard, and hey, we're gonna have a moment where I'm gonna cut up. Okay, but I just got to make sure the coast is clear where my mom ain't gonna call and cuss my ass out. Okay, all right, but we're gonna start off with some people y'all know, y'all favorite couple on the Mother Loving Show. It is Tyler and James. What's popping? How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
All right. How was that last show experience? How y'all felt from that?
It was fun. We've been talking about it since.
That's awesome. The whole goal was to create conversation. Do you think I was at least successful in that department?
You were successful.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I mean, that's the whole purpose of this what we do here. So it makes me really excited. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and go into some people that you've never seen before. Okay. First off, this is the love of my life, the mother of my child, um, Charlie. Hi. And to
Hello.
be she might be a little camera shy, okay? But as time goes on, we're gonna get her on the camera and go from there. Because she got her a little trying to keep her composure look right now. Okay. How's upstairs going? How's that going?
It's great. I can hear you downstairs.
Right. Well, as long as you got the door closed, I think the sound will be a-okay. All right. We're gonna go ahead and move into a young lady who's a professional. Okay, always has been a professional, always will be a diva to the day she die. And the one of the most important people of my life, my mother, Miss Erica Jasper. Hi, Mom. How are you?
Hello.
Look,
What an intro. Wow. I feel
First
honored.
off, you sitting there looking like you doing some work as we speak. Are you busy, Mama? What you got going on?
I told you I just got off with a client, if you will. So yeah, I still have my paperwork in front of me. Yes.
No, I got you. So just to help other people understand what exactly you do, what is your occupation?
So I am a psychotherapist, mental health therapist, not a psychiatrist, but a psychotherapist. And so that's what I do. I listen to people's problems, as I've been often told. Is that all you do? Listen to people's problems? Well, so it's not all I do, but yeah.
Right.
I'm sorry.
How is that experience for you, though, personally? You know, going from an area where you weren't a therapist, and then now that you are, how has that impacted your life, especially taking on so many people's problems?
Honestly, it's always been a part of my life. I mean, I've always been that type of person. And I don't know. It just kind of manifested. I kind of thought that I wanted to work in the school, but I didn't want to be a teacher, so I did school counseling. But then I wasn't getting to the kids. It wasn't enough time. Like school counseling, your credits, your classes. Oh, you crying? Don't commit suicide and send you back. I wanted to touch, people closer.
Gotcha.
To have more time with them. So I started that with working with kids, and it just kind of manifested through there. So here we are.
Got you. Here we are today. Look, and to be clear, and I'm just exposed something. Y'all see this room right here? This nice, lovely office. This used to be my room here when I grew up in my mama's house, right here. It looks nice. It looked nothing like that when I lived there.
Absolutely.
Okay. I come in the house and I instantly just feel some type of way because that's not what I remember. in my mama house. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
well, you wouldn't show them this house. If you were still here, you would not be showing this room.
my
You
room would
would.
not be viewed at all, clearly.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and move into the portions of the show. We're gonna go ahead and get everybody in here. And first off, express what the title is conflicts, the conflict relationship resolution and finding common ground. So in this first portion of the show, we did have another couple that told us till the end that they were going to join, and I guess they got cold feet specifically for this section. um, so next time, folks, if you're gonna say you're gonna be on the damn show, you bring your ass on the show. Okay, don't be cold feet and all that. I know people are scared of the cameras, damn gone it, but come on now. Let's do better with that. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and start off, Charlotte. Um, we're gonna use this opportunity to be the example. Obviously, because it's my show, I need to set the tone. Um, so one, you express what you feel like is a problem that you would like to find common ground that we could possibly be having difficult understanding between one another that she could help my mother could help us out with. Now, and just to be clear, this is it's never ethical for, let's say, my mom to actually have a
Yeah.
session with me. Can you explain that?
Can I explain? Well, I'm too close and I am completely biased. So it doesn't, no. And legally, by the state, by the law, I can't give services therapeutically to any family member, to anyone.
Understood.
And I wouldn't do it for anyone on the show now because there is connection, so I have to be completely unbiased. Now I can have a conversation with you guys but not where I'm giving therapeutic advice. I tonight will be coming from, of course I'm a therapist, but just more of a mama side, if you will, or an adult, like I'm the older of the group. So more from
Right.
a wisdom point standpoint, if that makes sense.
Got you. So let's just go ahead and start this, jump right into it. Charlotte, please do not be afraid to express how you feel truly. This is only to help out other people that could potentially go through the same problems. Also, just to be mindful of the other couple here, whatever problems that you guys are listing and wanting to speak about, it's only to find common ground. I don't want us to continue fighting afterwards because the whole goal of this is to express a problem and try to find a resolution to extinguish that specific problem. So, Charlie, what is it that you have that bothers you that I can't seem to understand?
Um, so I think my point would be that you don't pick up after yourself. I'm talking plates, cups, water bottles, laundry. It's just scattered all over the house. And yeah, it bugs the crap out of me.
Hmm. Now, why? What kind of effect does that more or less have on you as my partner?
um, I guess it's just a little bit more difficult because, being the one that doesn't work as much as you, I'm home a lot more and I do the cleaning and the laundry and those kind of responsibilities. But at the same time, you know, for example, you stay up later than I do at night. So anything that you have used or, you know, left laying around the house, I wake up in the morning and there's dishes on the table or the water bottles all over the house, or, it puts a little bit of an extra load on my back to have to clean up after you and like kind of walk behind you and have to pick the things up that you're dropping.
Okay, so and I could agree with you that I'm a bit messy and it's I'll be going so much in emotions I don't really understand the mess that I have until I'm actually tripping over it, and then it becomes a problem for me. So, I need to do better with that as your partner. Um, yeah. So what I have a problem with, and it could be as a result of my stuff being all over the place and me not being the most tidiest. But when it comes to my problem with you, it's more of one things not necessarily getting moved around the house. Um, for example, my video production stuff. Okay, you'll tend to try to clean, and that's great. You'll clean, but then you'll all of a sudden, as far as my things, put them in different places and not necessarily know where you put them. And the reason why things are a mess or tend to pile up on me is because I'm always on the go. I'm quick and moving fast. So in areas like this, when I'm trying to put the show together, I only have 5 minutes to get dressed, put the show together, and that's my own problem. I'm not necessarily blaming you, but it's more struggle and puts me a little bit behind if I come to you, hey, where's my stuff at? Where's my stuff at? And you're not able to tell me exactly where that is. You get what I'm saying? So that's very frustrating. The other one that I have is because we're our parent um, to a child. He's a very beautiful, beautiful baby boy. Um, I was raised without my father. Some of you viewers who've watched before know very certainly that I am very vocal about that, and that's had an effect on me on becoming a man, growing up, and so forth. I mean, hence why I don't damn clean up around the place, but more or less, my I'm feeling more or less that because my kid is cute, he's very manipulative, like I was as a baby boy, and he's very good at it. I don't think that y'all see past his ability to do the like he's more smarter than I think you like to give him credit for. And I think that he's one feels like he can cry and whine all the damn time at a moment's notice. And I feel like that type of approach, well, okay, baby, every time trying to get him to shut up is more or less making him soft. And when you get older, it's going to be a problem for him potentially being in jail, thinking that he can act a damn fool, knowing that as an angry black man, I know he's mixed, but at the end of the day, little bit of nigga, all bit of nigga, he's gonna be considered black. An angry black man is never good as far as society. So, as far as what you hear from the both of us, um, what do you feel? What do you feel like as far as what we both have said, and how could we, I guess, find a solution to a better grounds with each other's on these specific problems?
I would like to do something really quickly. I know I said I can't do therapy things, but Charlotte, no, Eric, can you repeat what you heard Charlotte say?
Well, that I don't necessarily clean, and she has to clean up after me. I leave water bottles and my dishes out, and she finds it very difficult um, to maintain when she's finding herself clean up after me all the time.
Okay. There was one other thing she said. It makes her load heavier. Did you hear that part?
Yeah, well, that's what I was trying to insinuate when I said it makes it more difficult for her when she's constantly having to clean up after me. Mhm.
Okay. All right. And Charlotte, what did you hear Eric say?
The first part I heard him say was that he gets frustrated when he goes to find specific items and I can't exactly remember where I've moved it to or put it at or put it away somewhere. And then the second thing was that kind of I let my son get away with too much because he's little and like you said, he's kind of cute, but he does tend to throw a little tantrum or, cry his way into getting something out of me or, and that can have a lasting effect on him in his life.
Okay. So my suggestion is that you both actually, because I'm sure you had this conversation 1,001 times with between the two of you about the same subject. So you hear one another. You have to compromise. You have to be intentional to kind of, with the moving the stuff. I get it. Your mom, you're cleaning up, you're moving fast too. That was one thing, Charlotte, you didn't say that Erek said. I'm moving fast, I'm always moving, whatever, whatever. But then there was a thing that he missed about the heavy load, although you insinuated it. But my point is that both of you have to actively hear one another and then act on it. So just the hearing is one thing, but what you did do was actually listen to one another. So I made you repeat it to see if you're actually hearing one another. So I do see you are clear on that part. You do listen to one another. Now you have to do the action. So Charlotte, ask him, where do you need this stuff to be? Because sometimes it's in the way on a daily basis. You only record whenever you record. I'm cleaning up after the baby and running the house on an everyday basis. So find out where you can put it and put it there all the time. Then you don't have to remember. He can just go right where the agreed place is to move the stuff.
Right.
No. And Erek, I tried. I said I wasn't going to put our business out, and I'm not. But that has been a complaint all of your entire life. You have never been, and you admit it. But just because you admit it doesn't make it okay. I get that you're moving a lot, but as a team, in order for the household to run halfway decent, because if chaos ensues, you have a toddler. So that's number one. But when you can keep it under somewhat of control, and I mean, items, messy wise, that helps everybody. That helps everybody. And Erek, we're setting a trend and we're training a boy. He's watching everything you do. And so you've got to, clean up, take some of the load off of Char. At least she's not asking you to do the laundry and the dishes and the this and the that. Just do it so she doesn't have to clean up after you and the baby. Directly clean up. She's cleaning up after you on a daily basis, right? She's running the household. Right. So at least when she goes to bed, at least let her wake up to the same house that she went to bed to. Is that fair?
That's very fair, but I'm going to also, because Charlotte didn't feel the need to express this. Um, she does, and I'm just going to go ahead and put this out. I do work 60 hours a week, right? But she has openly expressed to me that she wished I do more around the house. Could you expound on that point, Charlie?
So it's not like I'm not, asking you to do laundries or wash dishes or mop floors or anything like that. It's literally just like, if you drop trash somewhere, pick it up, throw it in the trash. If you eat dinner and you're finished with your plate, put it in the sink instead of leaving it on the table or leaving it wherever you ate your food at. My biggest pet peeve, I would say, is probably the water bottles, because you tend to get a water bottle, drink 3/4 of it, and then you leave a collection of water bottles around the house, bedroom, bathroom, upstairs, downstairs, everywhere. So it's not, I don't necessarily want you to do what you would call designated chores around the house, but just a light picking up after yourself, pretty much.
Okay. You got anything else for us? Understanding that revelation. And you, Mom, off the record, as far as the officialness, you've been very open about me wanting me to do more. What is your opinion on that specific matter? As my mom, not necessarily a therapist on a professional status, but realistically, your opinion on that as a person who has raised me and didn't play that, like the dishes shit. I might have gotten lax because I know that if that I would do at your house, Lord, so what is your opinion on that?
Well, I honestly think it goes a little bit back to with Charlotte and Zion. I let you get away with a lot of stuff. So it was easier for me to just go ahead and do it work versus arguing with you about it and getting my blood pressure up. So I kind of fought myself a lot. I should have given you more chores. But, as an only child and on the hustle and bustle, and I'm like, forget it, I'll just do it. But I didn't serve you well in that aspect, as hence where we are today. So with that, that's not an excuse. You just got to do better.
Yeah,
You
I
have
don't
to
go to
listen.
blame my mom for this. I don't want you to take blame for that.
No,
Because
no,
at
no,
this
I
point, I am a
don't.
grown man.
No, I don't. Now, with somebody almost 30, I'm just telling you. I should have done better when you were growing up, but I don't take no blame for it. You are a slob. Simple as that. But you got to do better. I mean, really, there's more than,
sure.
and to help Charlotte, of course, but you've got to show a better example to your son because you don't want him to fall into that. It's not okay. Like he's got to learn to clean up, and you don't want him to think that that's how life is. And then you don't want if Charlotte's with him most of the time, and we're not gonna keep getting into this because I want to get to the other couple. But I noticed that Zion will throw something on the floor and wish he would pick it up. You can threaten him all you want. He's gonna keep walking. But again, I say to myself, he gets that from his dad. So you've got to do better so he can do better. Okay.
Yeah. I guess I did try to tell him at one point, hey, clean that up. He ignored the hell out of me. And you did check me saying, like, well, you don't clean shit up. So how are you going to expect him to do the same thing? As a parent, in the moment, you don't realize how closely your child is paying attention to every little detail.
Limits.
And
Absolutely.
you only realize when it's too late, when that's already a part of his routine and characteristics. So yes, with that being said, we're gonna come back to Charlie and me once we get to the questions portion, but we're gonna go ahead and get the other couple on. You two, what do y'all feel like? Let me see if I could get a better angle here, where I'm not the main focal point here. But as far as y'all two, just like very similar to me and Charlotte, what do you feel like starting with Tyler? What do you feel like is some issues that you feel like you don't necessarily understand, um, that you feel like you need to get to a common ground on?
I'll start with I feel like me and James are blessed enough to have found each other, but we are also blessed enough where we both thankfully do have separate therapists. So this would be our first time talking about our issues with, other people without actually like straight up complaining about them to our friends and stuff like that. So, personally, I don't think we have too many issues. Luckily, I think our communication is pretty good. The only thing that we constantly are drawing a crossroads on is something I would say that is like deeply rooted in insecurity on my end. And it is that I want to be married like anybody else. But at the same time, I'm also feel like I'm not in a rush for it, but I have a really deep rooted fear that even though our relationship is great and, I enjoy every aspect of it, I am terrified of being in my 30s and we don't work out and I'm not married, or even if we are married, that our marriage doesn't work out.
Okay.
That's it on my end.
Oh, it's my turn. Oh.
Yeah, James, sorry. What do you feel like is some of your issues, once again, that she don't necessarily understand that you would like to get through to her?
I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like if I do have an issue, I kind of, have been doing an okay job communicating that. I kind of understand her, like, on the marriage part. I feel like I mean, it's not like really like an excuse. It's just something I gotta put more effort into doing. I mean, because this is the one I want to be with for for the rest of my life. It's just like I gotta kind of stop being complacent almost. Like I can admit like I kind of just get too comfortable, not like comfortable, but just like content with just like how stuff is going. But I do want to take that next step, with her, and just feel like I just need to just do it, not let my anxiety like get in the way of like stopping me from doing something I want to do for real.
And it's not that like it's never talked about, or it's not like, I'm like, okay, like let's get married. And he's like, oh, I don't want that. It's not like that situation. I'm just really scared of, us not working out. And it's because we didn't make that commitment. Or if anything happens to one another, we didn't make that commitment. And that's just something that we regret for the rest of our lives.
I mean, I'll talk to her parents, about it, try to do like that, respect thing, like, hey, oh, somebody out there honking the horn, but like, hey, I do want to ask you, for your daughter, to be married with me. So, I mean.
And what was their response?
I mean, your dad was like, he want to marry her, like, but I mean, he's kind of cool about it, but. Like her mom was more so like, I mean, I don't know, like she's young.
She said no.
Yeah.
She said no.
But I mean, Tyler's ready. I'm ready. But I think that's kind of something that has kind of halted me some because we were, at the point where we were looking at rings. But then after that, kind of like halted. Not saying I don't want to be married with her, but it's kind of that happened and kind of just. We ain't like really talk about it since then. But it is something I do want to, because it's like no excuse. I just gotta, get it and then get that ring and then just do it. I mean, but I do want to be respectable, towards our family. But at the same time, it's just like
that. But it's also hard if the people, that birth you and are closest to you if one of them is saying that it is not a good idea. How do you continue, from that point?
But then they insist on talking about the marriage, like kind of like consistently. So it's just like I don't know, but at the same time, it's kind of like well, me and Ty got our lives, like no disrespect. I feel like y'all live your lives, and I was just like, hey, it's us. We make a mistake or anything like that. Not like a mistake, but we. Make a decision, it's us to live, deal with that consequence of that decision. You know what I mean? We're adults now, so it's just like we here. I feel like we've been through a lot together, so it's just like I don't know, just like my real life partner.
So, what is your take on it? As far as what they have going on, I guess the kind of advice that you can give them to kind of work through, because it don't seem like there is necessarily a problem confliction between them two, but the outside surroundings and other things that could be potentially preventing them and unmotivating them for making that next step.
So I'm not sure if this is advice. I guess it is advice. But one, Tyler, don't worry about your age. Make that the last care, right? I love the way, what's your name, sir? I didn't get your name.
I'm James.
James, okay. I love the way you said this is my lifelong partner. Like that is very cool. When the parents aren't on board, and it's tough. So I get your hesitation. Like you don't want to get married and that becomes your because here's the thing about marriage. You're not just marrying one another. It's the entire families. It's both your family, her family. How does everybody get along? Like those are things to consider. Are they deal breakers? No, because some people say, fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway. Excuse my language. Just depends. It's stressing you both out. That's what it sounds like to me. And if it was a matter of you were in a bubble and it didn't matter who said what, you probably would have been married already, right? So now we're taking in all the outside noises and that whole bit. It's nature. It's human. We're human. And when mom doesn't like you, it can be tough. I'm not saying she doesn't like you. She don't want you to marry her baby. Will that change? I don't know. But you guys got to figure out how close are you, and will you be able to support one another if you decide to get married and you know that there are some conflict within it? Are you close enough to bear that together? I think that you are, but you got to be very open and honest and intentional with one another. Your mom, if you do marry him against her will, she's going to be pissed off for a minute, but eventually she'll get over it as long as you stick to it now. Okay, go ahead.
So the other layer of it is that basically my mom has a illness that, unfortunately, um, might take her away from us a lot sooner than most parents go. So in a normal situation, it would be a screw it type situation, but it's hard because, we never know when that's gonna take over. And, we don't want that to be like the last situation, that was brought upon.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
But it also doesn't feel fair for us to put our lives on hold for that situation. Somebody who has already made their decisions in life, and they worked out fine. She's still married. So, it's just a difficult situation.
It is. It really is. Would you feel, and I'm just about to be blunt here, if something happens to mom,
Mm-hmm.
sooner than later or whatever, would you be okay with getting married right after that?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if that's the case, then you guys have a decision to make. So what you're saying to me is that you'll get married. You're waiting for mom to pass for us to get married. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, it feels like that sometimes.
But does that even sound like, doesn't that sound a little harsh, if you
Yeah.
will? Because here's my thing. You like, and the things that you're saying, like you're right on target. She's lived her life. She's made her decisions, whatever the case may be. I do understand it. I do understand what if you do it either way. If you wait, if you decide to get married, but you've got to be honest to yourselves, where you're saying, "I'm waiting for my mother to pass in order for me to get married."
Mm-hmm.
If that's what it is, that's what it is. I think
Can I
that's a
ask a
bit harsh.
question?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. What has the mother voiced why exactly she said no? What was more or less her reasoning as to why?
Man, she was just like, Tyler hasn't really like, I guess like lived yet, which is like, I can honestly like, agree. I mean, she is young, but at the same time, it's just like, if you know, you know what I mean. Like, I don't really feel like I was living life until I got with her, so it's just like, you know what I mean. Like, I respect it. You know what I mean. Like, I do want to respect their wishes because at the end of the day, it's just like you said earlier, we're gonna be joining family. So it's like I don't want to do that, and then back in my mind, like it was disrespectful to her dad or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I had the ultimate respect for her father. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I don't want to. That does weigh on my mind a lot. I may not share that with Todd because she may look at it as an excuse, but I'm a man of principle. Like I'm gonna stand on what I believe in. So it's just like it's very conflicting. Like it does stress me out a lot. I might not talk to her about it, but I stress out a lot about it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like trying to find that balance of like that right move to do. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I don't want to have everybody else's what everybody else is thinking because at the end of the day, it's my life and I have to do what I want to do first. I think something you do have to put yourself first. So I don't want to waste my life away in our opportunities and experiences because we want to wait on somebody else's decision. If I prayed about it and I feel like God places this person in my life for a reason. Like I don't want to waste that. You know what I'm saying? I already prayed about it. We ready to go. So it's it's a lot to take into consideration, but that's because we honestly, in Candace speaking, we had a conversation about this like last night. So it's just like it does, and it's crazy because she's I could be thinking it, but she'll go ahead and say it. So that's what it's like. And it's just, we do have tough conversations, but I feel like it does work in our best interest because we see like, all right, we're going to take a step back and then like, all right, we're going to come forward and be back on the same page. So it's just like, I don't know, it makes it worth, the stress almost.
What would make, Tyler, how old are you? Everyone keeps saying you're, how old?
23.
Okay. I mean, that's you grown, good and grown. What difference would marriage make right now? Really? I mean, what would change if you got married right now?
Not very much. I mean, we already live together, we don't intend on having kids immediately. It's just, I feel like that, we can have conversations about kids, but it is absolutely off the table until we get married. So it's like, we can't.
That's fair enough.
Seriously, right now. And, just mainly if anything happens to each other, like, I cannot imagine if anything happens to James and I can't see him in the hospital for whatever reason, or I don't have any say in his funeral. And I spent every day with this man all day, and I feel like I know him better than anyone else,
Okay. One, what brings you to that thought process about if something was to happen to him?
I mean, I see stories of, basically where in tough situations, the family basically shuts down, and they're like, no, we don't want anyone to see him. No, we're going to decide, what we think is best in this situation. Like God forbid, like a cut the cord situation, I trust his mother, but at the same time, I spend every day with him, I feel like I should definitely have a say in what goes, in that situation, or if anything like funeral arrangements, I feel like I should definitely have a bigger part in that. And I don't want, the sadness and the situation, to affect how his family interacts with me or handles the situation,
Okay. And okay. So you don't trust the family enough for them to still allow you to play that big role if anything was to happen to him. You're just not sure if the family will allow you to be that person without being married.
It's not that, we've had any conflicts, I just know how grief can affect people, that's really what it is.
Okay. So at this point, are you just still okay with where you are? James, you know that this is your person. You guys are not going anywhere. Does it really matter outside of that? Because I'm going to be honest with you, Tyler, I think that is really a trauma response that you're saying about, and you're right. Grief, death brings out certain sides of people that you could never imagine. It does. Absolutely. Grief is a monster. It can cause a lot of problems. Lord, I forgot where I was going with this. But at any rate, you guys got to decide. I don't think that marriage right now, there's so much conflict. James, you're not settled. It has nothing to do with the love for one another. It's the outside forces that y'all dealing with. And you want to make everybody happy. Number one, we got to take that out of our minds. We can't make everybody happy. It's just impossible. Someone will be unpleased with some decision that you make. When you get married, somebody's going to be unpleased with something. The way the dresses look, the way the food is, you're not going to please everyone. So you got to get to a point where we are a team, we are one, and we'll just kind of fight the forces as they come along, but together. So if marriage is causing too much of a conflict right now, and we're talking about the closest people to you, we're not talking about sister brothers, we're talking about your mother and that kind of thing. Maybe kind of take it slow for right now. If mom is not in the best health and you are really considering that, James, obviously you are too, that concerns you as well, then don't worry about the marriage right now. The both of you you're claiming not to go anywhere. So let's go with mom. Let's kind of focus on mom right now because the loss of a parent is a major adjustment in life. And you're gonna have to be prepared for that. And you're gonna need this man to get through that, right? So don't worry about the marriage at this moment. Get together now. Make sure that right now you need to be making memories with your mom. Happiness, where everybody's smiling. And if it's a matter of you two you can still plan your wedding without a date, if you will. You know what I mean? If that will help you, I don't know, Tyler, if you're that girl with the big wedding dreams and that kind of thing. But
married, I want to do like a courthouse wedding and then go on like a month honeymoon.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, very good. So a month honeymoon means you need to be preparing probably a year or two before that happens anyway. Start working on it. You don't have to let anybody know that you're working on because at the end of the day, you're going to get married anyway. But just take your time. You love each other. It's a bigger factor with mom in the picture in that whole circumstance. That's a little bit of a different twist to it, if you will. Because initially I'd be like, do what y'all want, y'all grown. But I do understand you. I do. So let's spend this time to keep loving our mom, making memories with her, so that her peace, she has a sense of peace, whatever that may be. Just work on that. Focus on that for right now. The marriage gonna happen, and y'all plan this month honeymoon. It's gonna take a month. You're gonna need some paper to do that. So you got to start, let's be realistic. Let's just be realistic. If that's really what you want to do, start planning for it. And it's going to take a minute to plan. You'll be fine. Y'all live together. Y'all husband and wife, really. If you think about it, it's just not on paper. And I get where you're coming from, Tyler. Yeah, you want your name on there so you can call. I get that. Right. You spend it, hey, but it will happen, right? You're not in a rush. He not going nowhere if you don't marry, so be all right. Y'all still young. Y'all fine. Trust me. Work on continuing to build your foundation. Work on continuing to stay strong together. Because I'm telling you, once you get married, it's going to be a battle in itself. Some people going to like it, some people not. The devil going to be real busy. You're going to have to work hard. Marriage is being together is the easy part. Loving each other is the easy part. It's the other stuff that challenges our marriages. So keep building with one another, learning one another. Because you still, even though y'all know each other really well, you 23, you still in your 20s, y'all gonna be different people at 30. And you're gonna have to learn each other again. Your needs and wants are going to change as the years go on. So what works for you now in 7 years probably won't work anymore. So you're going to have to figure out how to adapt to each other, how to meet each other's needs as you are growing older. That's what keeps the marriage happy. So keep that in mind. Y'all good. Keep working together. Keep loving on mom. And plan this month honeymoon.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Right. So this is an hour that I have worked that I planned. I thought I was a participant, not a. But do you need anything else, Eric? I'm wearing down. Like my battery is going down.
No, I am fine. I'm actually dealing with some technical difficulties on my end. But no, we're good to go. Thank you so much for your services, Mom. In the meantime, does anybody have any specific questions for her that for this last 5 minutes that we have? Anything that you want to add? If not, we can let her be. But if you do, you guys have any last little things that you would like to ask her as far as anything?
Our hearts and minds are clear over here, man.
You guys were great.
Thank you.
No, we appreciate you.
No problem. Miss Charlie, you got any questions for me, Mama? You can always call me. All right, guys. Good night.
Love you, Mom. Thank you so much.
Bye.
So personally, I thought that was very helpful to have my mother, a therapist, to come and help talk to us and sort out some of our problems. Now it's up to us to actually do the groundwork, create conversations, and figure out what the actual problem is. So I'm going to start off by asking everybody some questions so we can go ahead and end this video and take our regular stinking asses to bed. See, now I can be a little ignorant. Hold up, somebody. Who's that for one? Hold up. Hey, we trying to figure it out. So we're gonna go ahead and start by asking questions to get a better understanding of each other. So one question I must ask: how do you handle conflicts when both partners have different perspectives and strong opinions? I'm gonna start off by asking Charlie, your opinion on that specific question. How do you handle conflicts when both of the partners have different perspective and strong opinions?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I would say that I we usually try to listen to what the other person is saying, whether I agree with it or not, and understand what their point is or their opinion is on something. Um, but personally, I don't handle criticism very well. So if somebody, tends to come at me with more of a critique or a criticism than an actual solution, that can cause more conflict than understanding between people. Um, but I also know I do have communication to work on. I'm not the greatest at it. I would say I'm doing better than I have before, but um, I think listening obviously is a major factor into resolving a conflict between people, and understanding what somebody else is saying as well. And if I can't get an understanding on what they're saying, it can cause an issue, because you're not really solving a conflict, you're just misunderstanding somebody.
Okay, so why is it that you feel like you can't really necessarily take criticism?
Um, I don't really know, to be honest. I feel like it's partially the way I was raised. All I heard was criticism. So at the end of the day, people, they say, oh, criticism can help build somebody. But I think after a certain point of receiving so much criticism, it's kind of just like, well, that's not really character building or anything. It's just not necessarily kind of shitting on people, but if that's something that somebody gets used to hearing all the time, then it can be more of a put down to someone than, here's what you're doing wrong, or here's how to do it better. It can be perceived as, well, this is what you're doing wrong.
Okay. Tyler, what do you feel? How do you feel about the question? Like, how do you handle conflicts between both partners when y'all have different perspectives and strong opinions?
I think in our relationship, I'm definitely the one who more is more firm on my decisions and my opinions. Um I definitely try to listen, but I think in the end, what we usually end up doing is we try each other's way to see which one works out.
um,
But most of the time, it's my way. I can't lie.
It'd be her way, and then it don't be her way. That'd be the crazy part. And we're gonna try it this way because I feel like she tends to want to be right about everything sometimes. So it's just like I'm sometimes I can be petty, so I'm gonna let you know that, hey, motherfucker, you're not right. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and do what you want to do. So I can be like, so what are we gonna do now? Okay. So I feel like that does sometimes kind of, present challenges because like on the last shot, like she said, she likes to be that head. Like, which, bro, I'm gonna just be honest, bro. I'm gonna give it a fuck because in my head, if I'm not gonna want to do it, I'm gonna tell you, hey, we're not doing that. Which she'll admit, like, hey, we. That's where like some of the arguments come from because I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that. We're not. Right. So but I think just being just two strong-minded people. That's kind of like where some of those challenges do directly come from. So I do have to, I'm relaxed. I can just be like, all right, I can take a step back, see how you're gonna do it, and then if it don't, then that's when I'm just like, all right, I got it. I instantly, all right, this is what we're gonna do because she works on schedule, so everything has to be planned with her. Me, I can just, all right, we're gonna do whatever. And it's gonna be straight.
So, for me, more or less, it depends because one, I'm very strong minded. And when it comes down to Charlotte, certain things could happen where she feels strong minded about it. Um, and we tend to come at conflict. One of the biggest things that the challenges that I have is that her ability to not be able to take criticism. Um, I'm more the type that comes from, I mean, you get a gist of what my mom is, expressing, being honest with people about certain things. My mom is more or less, I've always been that way, and I kind of get that from her. Hell, I've had moments where I've had to tell my mom about certain things that she wasn't able to see about herself. So I'm brutally honest. So my approach to her could be different because when I'm trying to love and hey, watch out for this because other people will try to make fun of you or try to take advantage of you, whereas I'm trying to call this out for you to fix it. She more or less takes it as criticism, and that becomes a problem because we find ourselves never necessarily getting to a resolution. And it's just more of pushing that stuff off to the side. So it really depends on me to be mature and try to change the way I say it instead of saying it with emotion and fear and worry. I need to I when I'm trying to make sure I get to her, I have to change the way I say things so that she doesn't feel, because obviously it's childhood trauma that she expressed the way she was growing up. That I tend to trigger when hey, we need to change this. We need to. She takes it differently than where I want her to as my partner. So,
I think I think a big thing of it is like, even though, we are couples, we are still individuals. So like sometimes, like, I'm sorry, you got to let that person, fall or fail, because we got to learn our own mistakes, as individuals.
it just becomes more difficult because in a situation like us, we got a little badass bastard walking around looking at every little thing that we do. So in a sense, like, we need to be ready now before we decided to make that decision. And now that we're here and this little kid is word, speaking and actually doing things that represent us when we're not around, it is very telling because then we get to the realization certain bad characteristics that he's developing comes from us. So that's where it's like, okay, hey, I need to be called out on some of my things, which is why this was very important, and same way vice versa. But it's very important for us to really hear each other, and that's the biggest thing that I noticed the disconnect between me and her. Um, it's our ability to we might be able to hear each other, but comprehending and knowing exactly where each other are coming from is will help us better and navigating through our strong mindsets and strong opinions. So
And one thing I will say, bro, because sometimes Ty can be like that, as far as like, taking constructive criticism. Like she may take it as like a slight diss. And I
yeah,
do feel like a lot of times I was like kind of like that early on. Like I would be kind of like frustrated and just get mad, like kind of yelling and stuff like that. But a lot of times, bro, it's like we be talking at them, but we not talking like to them. So it's just like I kind of had to like take a step back and like, all right, I got to come at her like this so she understands it's coming from a place of love, not like, hey, I don't like you. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like
right.
now we can kind of like give each other constructive criticism where it's not like, damn, like you don't like me or something like that. It was like, all right, cool. I can, reflect on that and, put that in my, everyday life to grow. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of that is just like how we direct how we feel. So it's like just working on that, you know what I'm saying? That has helped a lot for real, for real.
That was a good point to learn to talk to each other, not at each other. I like that.
Yeah, and it's really about my delivery because one, I'm an emotional guy, so I'm very
No,
in your face, and
I,
so
so
and it's not. I just need to, as a man, and we've been covering a lot of manly topics, what a man role is. Roles, Tyler, you was real big on pointing that out in our last previous show. It's real important for me to one take a step back, like you do, put my emotions aside, and try to figure out a way to get her to hear me by talking to her and not at her. Um, and that's more the thing. When I'm charged about something because I'm very strong, opinionated, and all that. And she gives me a response that tells me, "Hey, I'm not listening to what you're saying." Then then I'll try to double down and try to, more or less verbally beat it into her when all that is going in one ear and out the other. And that's been an issue that me and her have dealt with. I think I just need to be a little bit more softer, especially when it comes to her. And I'm very, very vibrant. Would you say?
Explosively vibrant, maybe.
Well, I mean, the explosion doesn't necessarily happen unless it's a continuous thing that wasn't handled. And a trigger for me is not being heard. Like if I'm wasting my time and energy expressing to you how I feel, take the decency to hear what I'm saying. And from her standpoint, it's just like I hear what you're saying, but her biggest thing is why are you getting on to me? Getting on to you. Wait a minute, you're not my child. Wait a minute, getting on to you. It feels like my mom is speaking to me, and that's where I'm like, well, we're on the same fucking level. Let's not get that twisted. So stop thinking of me and the constructive criticism that I give you as me trying to take you down because I'm only telling you this so that you can fix it and I no longer have to bring it up. That's more or less my intention on pointing certain things out. It's to because I love her and I want the best for her. And given the fact that she's my mother of my child, if our union ceased to exist, I still would want the best for her, knowing that my son is relying on her, looking up at both of us to figure out who he needs to be. So yeah. We're going to go ahead and move into the next question. What strategies can couples use to navigate disagreements without escalating into heated arguments? So going into talking to her and not at her, outside of that strategy, or adding to that strategy, more or less, what do you think, James, could be some strategies that you use or that you could use to navigate through y'all disagreements to prevent escalating arguments?
um, I feel like I'll try to like make sure I listen to her point out. Because I'm not gonna lie, if I have my mind made up on a certain way of how I want to do things, I'm going to stick to that way. So a lot of the things is trying to just hear each other out and try to, all right, well, we gonna try to break it down the best way we can to kind of what we trying to.
I mean, personally, for me, it's space. Like, if I feel like, my point isn't getting across the way I wanted to get across, you know, I'm definitely going to take a step back, you know, for an hour and come up with different ways for it to come across and like try to really think how what you're trying to explain to me and what I think the result would be and where I think you're coming from, you know. And I would just base what my next move is on that.
Yeah.
Personally, I mean, it might not work for everyone, but I mean, I think that works for us.
It don't be like too crazy like disagreements. So that's what I'm trying to think on. Like I know sometimes we'll let something kind of like.
I mean, I'm thinking the biggest disagreement was like my birth certificate
What happened?
when we couldn't find it.
Oh yeah, because you was on some shit. Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh.
Yeah, that's crazy. Nah.
I think that was like our biggest disagreement that I can think of that happened recently.
And you ended up finding it or something like that.
No.
Wow.
We my parents had an extra copy.
Oh yeah. You lost it.
But you were the one who was supposed to, you know, be in charge of making sure it stayed where it was supposed to stay.
I get that, but this is like the accountability part. Hey, I know I messed up on my part, but did you put it back where it belonged?
I felt like you were supposed to check up on me to make sure.
I know
like,
that's how you
the role
felt.
Of the person.
That's how you may felt, but did you put it back where it belonged?
No.
Okay.
Hey, we seeing it play out in real time, goddammit. Hey, so Charlotte, what do you feel like are some strategies that we personally, and I'm gonna be honest, let me go ahead and put it out there. We struggle heavily with this specific question because it once again goes to me seeing certain things that I don't really like, and I try to call it out for her to try to adjust and fix. And of course, she takes it the wrong way, and then that little misunderstanding develops into arguments. So, what do you feel like are some strategies that we could do, not only on your part but also mine, that we could do to prevent it from turning into heated arguments?
I think the one that your mom made us do earlier was a really, really good example. And I think everybody should kind of try to, specifically us, we should try to implement that into our communication and our conversation.
Which was,
she did well, what did you hear her say? And then she asked me, what did you hear him say? So that we can literally not necessarily repeat back to each other what exactly was said, but repeat back what our understanding of what was said is, because you know, a lot of times it can be a misunderstanding, not necessarily a miscommunication. It can be a misunderstanding on either part, or it could be the way someone is trying to phrase something or put something into terms can be the wrong terminology or the wrong examples and things like that. And I really, I think, you know, if we were to try and implement something like that, for example, when we're struggling to communicate about a topic or a conversation, that would be very beneficial to the both of us, because it would be something like, hey, what did you just hear me say? And if I reiterate back to you, or I missed a point, or I misconceived it a different way, be like, okay, hold on. That's where we're getting confused. Other than that, the only other strategies that I can really think of would be things like, you know, in the heat of an argument, maybe take a couple minutes to yourself, or, you know, take 10 deep breaths, 10 seconds, and woo-saw for a second. I wouldn't say we had a majorly heated argument any time recently. It's been a minute, but even in, you know, just small battles between each other, try to implement some of those, especially the one that your mom used, because that was a very good one.
So when it comes down to my standpoint on it, like, I agree we need to be able to do that. I tried to do that in the heat of an argument, but it's more an intense situation. One thing that I think will work in the gist of the heated argument is if your ass went ahead and just pulled down my pants and got to work. Okay, I think that might help quite Well, what
Right.
y'all think about that?
No.
Just get the guap guap 3000, baby, in the middle of an argument.
Well, if it works that way, then it's got to work this way too. So you better be willing to take my pants off and go to work. So sorry, that's
So outside of we just need to take our time to hear what each other are saying. Assumptions, I think, are the death of us and what we got going on, and which leads to the arguments. Because what ends up happening is I'll say something, and I'll be quite vague about it, but not really quite vague about it, not really give you as much information really to further explain what I have. Then you'll develop questions where, well, what if this is the case? And then what frustrates me is that you tend to answer them, which comes the assumption part. And when you answer them for yourself, whatever things that you make up into your mind, I can't. It makes it seem like, okay, this is coming from me. Well, you felt this way, and another thing that I say all the time, and I'm sure you can attest to it. Did I say that? Is that the words that I specifically said to you? And
that's where the method of repeating what you heard comes back into play, because a lot of times you'll say something a certain way and I take it a different way, and you didn't mean for me to take it that way at all, but that's the way I perceived it. So to take a step back and to be like, okay, you didn't understand what I was saying.
Right.
Let's try to reframe this and put it a different way and go from there.
So one, let's take both of our advices on when it comes down to that. One, repeat back what we thought we heard from our other partner. But furthermore, and before jumping the gun and assuming, ask me what I mean. Before you decide to, well, you think this and you think that, hear it from the horse's mouth before immediately jumping into that. How do you feel about that?
Agree.
You guys have any objection to that when it comes to, and like I said, y'all are very familiar with our relationship. It's a hot mess compared to y'all's. I really wish I had a situation. We don't. I don't really want to.
You guys
say
have
like
some
that,
additional layers that we don't have, and like the main one is you guys have a kid, and we don't have that, and you guys work together, and we don't have that.
I mean, what we did.
I mean, yeah.
That's how we got started.
We all did.
We really did. Every single one of us. That's funny.
That's where all this friendship comes from, right? So, let's go ahead and move into the next question. How can individuals in a relationship find middle ground when they are when they have conflicting needs and desires? So how do y'all find a middle ground when these questions are kind of repeating themselves? So I'm gonna go ahead and go to the next question because I feel like we already answered that. What role does compromise play in resolving conflicts, and how couples ensure it's fair and balanced? So, what role does compromise play when it comes down to resolving conflicts, and how can we make sure that it's fair and unbalanced?
I think
So
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
Sorry. I think it plays a big role, but at the same time, I feel like, once again, me and James don't have the same layers as you guys. So, for us, most of the time, we're on the same page in the first place. Our wants and our needs coincide with each other, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, we compromise. I mean, everybody's going to compromise, you know what I'm saying, to some form or fashion, but it's not to like that extent because we don't have, another responsibility or anybody relying on us. The only thing is our little cat Shadow, that's it.
And you guys got one of those too. I mean,
you know what I'm saying? But other than that, it's just straight like, all right, this is what you want to do. Like I said, I'm a simple person, bro. If it's something I'm down with, all right, cool. If it's not, nah. And then that's like kind of where we like compromise. But other than that, it's just like, all right, that's what you want to do. All right, we out.
That, and I feel like, just setting boundaries from the start.
That was a big thing. Like, we did have our boundaries of like what we gonna do and what we not gonna do. And we haven't crossed those boundaries. Like those boundaries have been set, and they're there. So it's made it much easier.
And I don't ever recall us setting boundaries. Like, what do you mean by that? Like,
I
for
mean,
an example.
we have obvious rules. Like in an argument, we can't tell each other shut up. Like that's off the table. Name calling off the table.
Yeah. And we don't go to bed
Yeah,
on
we're not going
on
to
an
bed
argument.
angry
Yeah.
either.
So it's like we gonna it may take 3 hours, but we gonna get it solved, and then we gonna go to sleep, and we gonna wake up, and it's gonna be a new day.
Yeah.
Like it's a new day.
I think those are like our main boundaries right there.
I think that sounds very something like we need to do. Well, one, we like to play this playful name calling type of thing, but
Nah, we
the
ain't.
problem,
Nah.
There's some
the
truth
problem
in
with that, it boils when shit gets serious. It boils into real situations. So, um, I think that it's going to be necessary for us to start setting boundaries with each other and rules to apply so that we're not finding ourselves coming at each other's throats from the wazoo and going to bed. Either one of us could die at a moment's notice, and how traumatic that would be if we were at odds with each other. And I think about it all the time. If we are arguing and I'm at work, or something small like that where I'm away and something happens, both to me and her, it would be devastating. And with the addition of us having a kid together, it's so much, it's so important. And if I can give y'all any advice from our situation, it's so important to ensure the person before you have a baby with. And y'all been with each other just as long, damn near as long as we have. So when you take that in consideration, the longer you go, the more you really know somebody, and how they are. I do know that in my history of dating other people, some people will change and flip the script, and only a time can resolve and unveil people's true identities and true colors. So, and that's the biggest thing, that you have to know what you're signing up for before you sign the fucking paper. And in our situation, Tyler, you were right there the whole time, through our talking stages, through breaking up and regular dating, throughout the whole entire pregnancy. We've had our challenges because we decided to rush and before getting to know each other properly, and we had to spend a lot of that time going through all that hard work in the midst of one of the hardest times of her life, and one of the most precious times of mine, her pregnancy. That's first time she's ever experiencing that as a woman, and then going through this trials and tribulations of one, moving out of her mom's house, getting to know a nigga that she has no idea about, and then adjusting on the fly. It was a lot to bargain for, which, and then with the addition of me being a hot ass mess, as far as her to clean up after, I can see why she's more hesitant now to have a baby, because she feel like she don't want to go through that. And it was a lot of shit, one after the other, that we more or less had to go through together. I think right now we're stronger than ever. I have my demons that I have to deal with. She has her demons that she have to deal with. But we still, my biggest thing is I've been hesitant on marriage, for that very reason, true colors. But at this point in our relationship, I don't have any question about it. Uh, she literally changed her whole life for me. Um, and one of my biggest things that has always been questionable is my status when it comes down to women, because I'm terrible with women. I've been very open about that, and that's one of the biggest things that she has an issue with me on. Um, I trust her when it comes down to making sure that she's going to be there for me. I don't have any question about that, which makes me more open to marriage. And to be honest, I'm going to be honest with you here. One of the main reasons why I am hesitant on marriage is because I don't necessarily know the marriage side of me, nor do I trust myself enough to be that man that she needs me to be, the husband that she needs me to be. I honestly feel like I still have some maturing to do, and I do blame you for it. I do say, hey, I don't feel like you're ready, but really, honestly, in an honest moment, um, the holdup is me feeling like I'm not mature and ready enough for marriage, even though I've went ahead and took the grand step of having a baby. So
Do you think she
would it?
deserves that though?
No, no. And the Eric that's not on camera, not having a come to Jesus honest moment would be like, well, like I said, we'll put the blame on her. Well, I don't think she's ready. I don't think she's without really acknowledging that these are some demons that I'm dealing with. So I wish I was. I did have the balls to be like James and be like, you know what, I'm ready for marriage. I'm ready
Oh
to.
no, chill. I mean, but you know, I mean, taking a step though, for real. I mean, a part of it is just being able to take a step back and self-reflecting, being like, hey, it's not just on her, it's on me too. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, this is the mother of your child, so it's just like as long as you can sit back and self-reflect, that's gonna help your situation in the long run because it's gonna help you build a newfound appreciation and a level of respect, you know what I'm saying, that Charlotte, not saying that she's not getting it, but that she may, need, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's going to just benefit y'all in the long run. There's nothing wrong with just sitting back reflecting on that, bro. Like, I sit back and reflect on a lot, like with Ty, like, dang, I should have did that like a little bit different, you know what I'm saying? Which, I can't go back, but all I can do now is just, if a situation, something like that occur, I know what to do now because it'll be in the back of my mind. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like when it happens, it's just. But what I mean, bro. We all men, bro. You know what I'm saying? This life shit ain't easy. You know what I'm saying? It don't come with a manuscript. So it's just like step by step. You gonna walk this motherfucking earth. You gonna make mistakes, and it's like you gonna bounce back, bro. As long as you keep your head high, you gonna be straight. You know what I'm saying?
And I hate to be cliche, but like, I've been watching The Bachelor because I love The Bachelor. And like the main thing that's going on, like the main theme of the season right now is like you're not looking for, the woman that, you want or whatever. You're not looking for a woman that you can live with. You're looking for the woman, you can't live without, So I think it really comes down with marriage. Like, do you feel like you're in a place where you can live without Charlotte? Are you in a place where you're comfortable losing Charlotte? Because you guys are not married. You guys, even though you have a kid, we're all still young. There's plenty of people for both sides. Are you comfortable letting that get away from you? Because you yeah, you're working on it, but you're working at it on your own pace. Are you okay with losing her while you decide when you're ready? Decide when you're mature enough. You get me?
Yeah. So,
And I'm
no.
not saying she's going anywhere. I'm just saying, with how life is, are you
Well,
would you be okay?
no, absolutely not. And I've come to that realization over the last few years because of how, my mom used to call it a security net. My mother used to be my security net, my blanket. When things went wrong, and I've through this time over the last few three some odd years, Charlotte has been my security net at home. Not necessarily on the financial front, but just coming home, ensuring that I have a warm house and a warm bed, and all of my stuff is ready to go for when I'm getting ready for work or when I'm coming home from work. So, and I think about moments like, I've had. Let me just be clear, and I did express I didn't want to share this information, but I've made mistakes openly. And you know, another thing that was a big no-no, which was a hot topic in other videos, was conversations with other females, even though they were on a friendly level. Um, and she obviously had an issue with that. Even though there wasn't no ill will in the text messages, just simple conversation, that was a conflict for her. And I didn't feel like that was a problem enough to fix. And that created more stress on our relationship, which then forced me to start thinking about, well, hey, I could lose her. And, thinking on that, her leaving me and not ever wanting to continue this family that we built breaks me. This would, if that were to happen, I like to act tough and macho, and I like to express that I've had multiple women, which is more or less a control tactic to make her want to stay with me. But in the midst of all of that, I do recognize that if she were to leave me, this would be the toughest relationship I've ever had, because I have a kid involved and because of my childhood. As the father that I am today, it is solely built off of what my father wasn't to me. And my biggest thing is, I don't ever want my son to feel like I did when my father wasn't there. If it was because my parents weren't together, or it's because he didn't make an effort to see me, even though we lived in the same city, I never want my son to experience any small amount of pain that I felt growing up. So yeah, that would eat me alive if I were to lose her. And I don't show it regularly. And I think it's important for me too, because at some point, my nonsense will wear on her. I'm certain of it, and when that happens, it's going to be one too late, because the damage is already done, and there's nothing that I could do. I'm going to be stuck in a shoulda, woulda, coulda situation. And what I tell her all the time, um, I, I need to self reflect on myself. On, you're going to wish you had all of this time back. You're going to wish that you had this time and that you could do all of this over when you have the time now. And I think it's really important, if I want to see progress within my relationship, to more or less practice what I preach and being honest in moments like these, where I will have this audio and video that I will eventually put up on YouTube to look back at, or people to comment their specific opinions to make me reflect even more about certain things to better my relationship. But yeah, by no means, I will say our negatives have not solely been her, and because somebody would call me a what is that word, that somebody who green light gaslights.
Gaslighter?
No, narcissist.
Oh.
I guess I am more or less a narcissist. I don't, forever I like to act like I don't know what that is, but I do push the blame a lot instead of taking responsibility and accountability. And I'll own up. Oh yeah, I fucked up. I was texting other females when I wasn't supposed to, but you're the reason why I do this. So it's really necessary for me, when explaining all this to you guys, that I do have a lot of maturing to do. It's not just her lack of being able to listen to what I'm saying and take criticism, but more my insensitiveness, my lack of understanding when it comes down to her, and just being straight up fair and honest. I tend to want it to be my way or the highway, and that is not necessarily healthy to our relationship, especially given that we have a kid. So
I would also say that, everybody's view on marriage kind of not depends on their own family history, but, it has some sort of reflection on it. But like, you were raised by a very strong, independent, single woman. Well, not necessarily single all the time, but, she never married. Your mom never got married. So I do believe that everybody's past and family history has an effect. And so maybe because you were raised by a woman that never got married, your opinion or your view on marriage is, different as to what maybe James's view would be on marriage. He's all for ready to jump in and get married. He has, other issues outside of his relationship that he's thinking on. But whereas us, it's kind of the other way around. It's more of the internal issues that you have a different perspective on when it comes to marriage specifically. But
and to be clear, her mom don't want her ass getting married to me, and I don't give a damn. But either way, I have to point that out. I don't give a damn, mama.
But
you guys are familiar with my mom's situation, though,
aren't we? But I was actually going to say something to the original question, which was what was the word? Compromise. That's the word. Yes. When it comes to trying to find compromise, I actually watch another podcast, and it's a couple that literally do therapy, basically.
What's their name, so we can name drop, give them the recognition?
It's the To Be Better podcast.
To Be Better podcast.
Absolutely love those people.
Go check them out too.
They're dope. but they pretty much explain, how coming to a compromise can work, especially between a male and a female, or, the male brain and a female brain. They work in two totally separate different ways. A woman is based off of emotion and how she feels, and then a man is literally just based off of logic. Like when it comes to problem solving, there's no, oh, that makes me feel this way, so this is what I'm going to do. It's, well, this is what makes sense, so this is what I'm going to do. And when it comes to having to find a compromise between the two, you have to, as the man, take the female's feelings into account, and as the woman, take the man's logic into account, because at the end of the day, you're never going to come to a compromise unless both of y'all take the other's feelings or logic into consideration when trying to meet at a common ground and find a resolution, or, some way to solve whatever conflict or issue or problem you're having with somebody.
I think, like, on a tangent, you were talking about, like, the other women situation, like having friendships with other women, I mean, in our relationship, we've dealt with that. And at the end of the day, it comes down to James knows who he's with. I know James. James can have female friends if he wants, but he knows who he's with. If I'm going to lose my mind over it, go ahead, take that risk, that's fine. If that's what you're willing to do, if you're willing to deal with my insecurities, that come with that, then go for it. There's no, you can't have female friends. You can, but you also know the woman that you're with and how it'll make me feel,
So
know?
it's basically saying but hypothetically, I can't have friends.
You can. It's on your own risk.
But
it's at your own risk.
I get that. So, but you're saying at my own risk.
Yeah.
Like,
it may or may not upset me.
I mean, we all have insecurities. I can get insecure, but I'm just going to be like, hey, she should have enough respect for me not to be on no shit like that. Like, if just don't do nothing that you wouldn't want me doing.
Exactly.
That's, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, hey, it's cool, but if you would get mad at me for doing this, like, you think that you would get mad at me for doing this, just stop that shit.
Like, when I text her and be like, why are you texting my man? No, like, I have a certain amount of trust that, James wouldn't disrespect me like that. But, like, I mean, if they're talking all day, every day, I'm like, and he knows, what she wants for dinner, I'm like, why? For what? Like,
yeah. And I think that's where, the boundaries and the rules kind of come into place, but also that's where y'all come to a compromise, because both of y'all agree that neither one of y'all should be doing a certain thing, because if one person's doing it, does that make it okay for that other person to do it? And if the answer is no, then the answer should be no for the both of y'all, not just for one of y'all. And also the fact that I think, kind of going off of what Tyler was saying about it's at your own risk, I wouldn't even say necessarily it's at your own risk, but there's going to be a consequence to whatever action happens. So if the action is you spend your time texting another female, whether it's innocent, not innocent, or, a conversation with another of the opposite sex, is like, back to what I was saying, how would you feel if I was to do that? If it was to be the other way around, there's going to be a consequence. You're going to feel a certain type of way. You're going to have a certain type of reaction to the action that has taken place. And at the end of the day, that consequence is going to be on your actions. So you are partially held responsible for what was done. But at the same time, you have to, come to a compromise with your boundaries, your rules, and understand that you can't have a rule or a boundary that applies for one person. It has to apply to both people in the relationship, because both people are in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My bad, Eric. Go ahead.
No, I'm listening.
No, I was about to say, she, at that own risk thing, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't even want to get myself in a situation like that to where I gotta, defend my character or have her questioning like my character or anything like that, because you know, like I said, I have principles. I'm gonna stand on that. So you're never going to be like, well, no, I wasn't, because you know me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not about that. I'm sorry, chilling. You know what I'm saying?
I don't have friends that have never had a conversation with James.
Oh yeah,
or
so
that have never, met James or have never attempted to meet James,
and I ain't know no, like, you know what I'm saying, like niggas know, but like I'm gonna be cool. Don't say nothing crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because then we'll have an issue. But other than that, like, all right, you know, them niggas was there before me, like, since you was, like, you know, damn near 13, 14, you know, 20s now. You can't talk to them no more. Bro, like, they chill, bro. Like, I'm chill. Like, as long as they know what's going on, you know, they can respect it. All right, cool. It's always a respect thing with me. The moment that gets, you know, the disrespect crosses the line, it's, you know, it's out the window. You know what I'm saying? You know, we'll handle that accordingly. But I be chilling, bro. I keep saying I'm really just a simple chill ass dude, bro. I be high, bro, chilling.
And that's why y'all are the favorite couple that we know to love. Okay, look, this has been a great episode. You know, we can go on for nights and nights and nights. You know, I do want to figure out a way to do this, this kind of format with the therapist. I'll bring my mom back at some point. We also need to do more relationship things to help each other out through these specific times. You know, like I said, the other couple, I think, were a little bit afraid because they might have some deep issues that they don't want public. And I think that it's real helpful to one, because this honestly, I shared more information than I like to. And it's because of one, I pride myself on being real and honest. And it's important to call things out the proper way. So now that it's on wax and recorded, I could use this back to be like, okay, this is something I can work on. And honestly, the information that we uncovered helped me a lot. Hey, we need to set boundaries with each other in order to know what lines to cross versus what, if you get what I'm saying. So I think this is real helpful. I'm going to do a show with my mom on a depression with some people who struggle with depression. I also want to do a show on child abuse, people who were abused at a young age, and now are adults, to talk about that effect, and also help kids who have experienced that go through that with a therapist who handles that. Outside of that, we got a lot of shows coming up, man. I'm so excited. Thank y'all for joining us. Definitely got to, once our relationship ones come back, we got to invite y'all, and also I'll of course contact you guys for any other shows. You don't always have to be here as a team in relationships either. But look, folks, this is a motherfucking Eazzy pod. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for watching. And we, of course, catch y'all next motherfucking time. Holla at your boy. Everybody say holla, and we'll catch y'all next time. All right?
Bye.
All right, we out.
Hey, yo.